All right, dear all. All right, here we go. Okay, so there is a project in this class, and now that we're done with computation, you can get that done and submitted. And there is an oral part to it as well, and you can read about this in the syllabus. But the computation part is you can do this individually, or if you want to work with a partner, you can, so up to 2 people. You're going to create a handout with 1 traditional and at least 3 non-traditional methods for each of the following. So adding, subtracting, multiply, and dividing. So you'll do the traditional with 1 other. And then here it tells you like a 3-digit minus a 3-digit or a 2-digit times a 2-digit, things like that. Okay, then, and let me just show you, let me pull this over here for a second. So this is an example of a rough draft that a student did. Now, you do not have to type this. Some students did it by just writing in nice handwriting, totally fine. But this student went ahead and did like adding, they did traditional, they did decomposition, rounding with compensation, and base 10 blocks. And then they did multiplication, they did traditional, they did lattice, and here's their work, partial products and FOIL, subtraction, they did traditional, so sorry, Australian, partial differences, and then they did, let's see, what did they do here? Looks like they did adding on. And this was just a rough draft. They weren't quite done with it. But that's what they did for the handout. My goal is for you to have a handout so that when you go teaching, you know what I mean, you can just have that with some of the different methods on it. It can be handwritten in nice handwriting. That doesn't matter, okay? And then when you're done with that, there's also an oral exam. And I used to give a computation project where, you know, I would test you without calculators and so forth, and that's kind of hard to do online. So on this, what you're going to do is either individually or with a partner, doesn't matter, you're going to come in to collaborate, and I am going to give you numbers to do math with. So I might say add 348 plus, let's see, 986 and use partial sums. And you need to add it in. Basically, it's kind of like a teaching demo. And you can use your sheet to like, oh yeah, that's what that is. But I'm not going to pick the numbers on your sheet. I'm just going to randomly give you numbers like explain partial differences or explain partial sums. And you have to teach me, okay? If you can't do the oral with your partner, the only difference is I'll just go back and forth between the 2 of you. But otherwise, you can do this by yourself. It's graded individually. So the project you could do with a partner if you like, or you can do individually. The oral exam is individual, but again, if you want to do it at the same time as your partner and you both kind of show up in the room at the same time. All right, and here's the rubric. So this is the rubric I'm using for the handout. Okay, so titles, labels, work typed or handwritten, extremely neat. Okay, so again, I know not all of you have access to, you know, printers and things like that, and math is kind of hard to type sometimes. So if you just want to go ahead and handwrite it really nice, that's fine. And then again, do you do 1 traditional with 3 non-traditional? So that's 4 times because there's 4 of them. And that would be here again. Now, for example, number types, problem types. For example, if you add 300 plus 400, you're making a simple number choice. So you're going to, oopsie, don't mean to move it. You're going to be down here. So you need to show things that make you regroup, more complex numbers. So you want to have strategic numbers that you choose that highlight the key ideas, okay? So if you're rounding with compensation and there's really no reason to do that, like 201 plus 301, why would you do that? That doesn't make sense. So again, make numbers that are logical for what you're trying to show. Okay, and then subtraction, same thing. If you pick ones where you never have to ungroup, like 299 minus 157, you don't have to ungroup. So you're not going to get a very good score here, okay, for number choice, because you're picking something that's so easy, it's not highlighting anything. So again, there's 4 of those, so that's 40 points, 10 points for each one. And then multiply, same thing, and divide. And this is the rubric I'll use to grade those. So again, if you want to get a high grade on the written part, just read down this column. Okay, and as long as you do this, write it neatly, you have the ideas, you do the math right, like obviously make sure you add, subtract, multiply, and divide correctly, then you should be over here. Now, for the oral exam, here's a rubric I use for that. Excuse me. Again, I'm going to give you, say, 4 problems, 1 add, 1 subtract, 1 multiply, divide, and you're just going to basically do the math for me without a calculator, and you're going to be writing on the whiteboard. So like I might say again, 23 times 46, and I might give you the choice. I might say, okay, do you want to do the box method or do you want to do partial products? Okay, or I might say, do you want to do the traditional algorithm or do you want to do lattice? Okay, so again, you're going to be writing on the whiteboard, explaining it to me as we go, okay? So that's taking place of what I would usually have as a computation exam where you have to get 100% without a calculator, and I maybe gave you 3 chances to do that, okay? And my goal here is, again, if you're nervous about teaching me, right, you have to be in front of a lot of people, and it's not always kids. Sometimes your principal's in the room or cooperating teacher, other people. So just kind of get used to that. Even at the college level, I observe, well, Pete's been joining our class a lot to observe, and then I observed his class. And so even at the college level, we kind of watch each other teach, and it can be intimidating because you're wondering sometimes like, what do they think of me? But you just got to get used to it. All right. So this is more for me, for you to have a handout that when you leave this class, you have a good handout to take with you. And then the oral exam is for you to practice teaching these things to me and, for me to see what you know on a one-to-one basis. All right. So, and this is in your syllabus. I think each one is about 3% of your grade. So maybe 6% total or 4%. I can't remember. You guys will have to look at the syllabus. But, we have about, 5 weeks left. You guys can knock this out and you can schedule your oral anytime, because we've done add, subtract, multiply, and divide. So you can get this done, and I will email these out for you. I think they're in course content too, but I'll go ahead and email them out. I'll email out this video, and if you have any questions, you can make an appointment with me to let me know. Again, you do not have to type it up like the example I showed you. That was a very good example. Other ones I had were super nice. They just hand wrote it, very organized on lined paper. They worked with a partner, so maybe one partner did kind of half of it and the other did the other half, combined it to make a good handout. Or they would use Google Docs or other things too. So that's totally up to you. Sometimes people typed part of it, like the labels and some of the titles or the explanation, but then they did it by hand in addition. So sometimes they did a combo of the two. All right. I think that's about it. If you have questions, let me know, and I am going to send this out so that you can start working on it.